Imagine a world where a single discovery changed the destiny of humankind forever. A world where the mastery of fire and earth combined to create something revolutionary, a metal alloy so powerful that it defined empires, transformed warfare, and accelerated progress like never before. This is the story of bronze, the beating heart of the first great technological revolution in human history. Picture yourself 5,000 years ago. The landscape of human civilization was vastly different. Our ancestors crafted their tools from what nature provided: stone carefully chipped into shape, animal bones fashioned into needles and awls, or pure copper hammered into simple implements. These materials were fragile, limited, and often unreliable. A stone axe would crack, a copper blade would bend and dull. The hands that built the earliest civilizations were constrained by the very tools they wielded. But then, something extraordinary happened. Somewhere in the vast lands between the Middle East and Asia, perhaps by accident or through careful experimentation, humans discovered that by mixing copper with tin, they could create something entirely new, something harder, more durable, and infinitely more versatile than anything they had known before. This wasn't just another material. This was bronze, an alloy that would reshape the world. When the first bronze tools appeared, they must have seemed almost magical. Imagine being a farmer who had struggled with wooden plows or soft copper tools, suddenly holding a bronze implement that cut through the earth with unprecedented ease. Or a warrior, realizing that your new bronze sword would not only maintain its edge through battle but could penetrate defenses that stone weapons could never breach. The impact was immediate and profound. Communities that mastered bronze production gained tremendous advantages. They could harvest more food, build more efficiently, and defend themselves more effectively. This wasn't merely a better tool. It was a catalyst for social transformation. As bronze spread across ancient lands, from Mesopotamia to Egypt, from the Indus Valley to ancient China, it carried with it new possibilities. Cities grew larger, supported by improved agricultural output. Temples and monuments rose higher, constructed with tools that could shape stone with unprecedented precision. And kingdoms expanded their territories, backed by armies equipped with bronze weapons that outclassed their opponents. Even more fascinating is how bronze created the world's first truly international trade networks. Tin was rare, found in just a handful of places across the ancient world. Yet it was essential for bronze production. This scarcity sparked long-distance trade expeditions that connected cultures that might otherwise never have met. Imagine caravans trekking thousands of miles across mountains and deserts, or ships braving treacherous seas, all in pursuit of the precious metals needed to create bronze. The bronze smiths themselves became almost mythical figures in their communities, masters of transformation who understood the secrets of fire and metal. Their knowledge was guarded, passed carefully from master to apprentice, and their workshops became centers of innovation and technological progress. This wasn't just a new chapter in human history, it was an entirely new book. The Bronze Age represented humanity's first great leap beyond the natural world into one where we could create materials that nature itself had never produced. It was our first step toward becoming creators rather than just users of what the earth provided. If you love history and want to unravel the mysteries of the great empires that rose and fell on the back of bronze technology, like this video, subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel and don't miss a single episode of our journey through the technological revolutions that shaped our world. So, what exactly is this revolutionary material that changed the course of human history? Bronze isn't a pure metal that our ancestors mined directly from the earth. It's something far more fascinating: an alloy, a deliberate mixture of two distinct metals, copper and tin. This combination was nothing short of revolutionary. You see, copper alone was already known and used for thousands of years before bronze emerged. It was one of the first metals humans ever worked with because it sometimes appears in nature in its pure form, and it melts at a temperature achievable in ancient kilns. But copper by itself has serious limitations. While beautiful with its distinctive reddish glow, copper is soft and malleable. A pure copper tool or weapon would bend rather than cut, dull quickly, and break under stress. Ancient craftsmen must have been frustrated by these shortcomings. Imagine spending days crafting a copper axe only to have it bend during its first real use. The magic happened when ancient metalworkers discovered that adding tin to copper, typically about 10% tin to 90% copper, created something entirely new. The resulting alloy was significantly harder, more durable, and held a sharper edge than either metal could on its own. This was bronze, and it was a game changer. The process of creating bronze was itself remarkable for its time. It required careful control of temperatures around 2000 degrees Fahrenheit, precise proportions of metals, and skillful casting techniques. Bronze could be poured into molds to create intricate shapes that would have been impossible to achieve with stone tools. Once cooled, bronze could be further worked, hammered, and sharpened without breaking. What's truly extraordinary is that this technological leap wasn't just a minor improvement, it was a complete transformation. A bronze sword could slice where a copper one would bend. A bronze plow could cut through soil that would damage stone implements. Bronze tools could be repaired and resharpened rather than discarded when damaged. Here's something truly remarkable that gives us a window into this pivotal time in human history. In 1991, hikers in the Italian Alps made an astonishing discovery: the perfectly preserved body of a man who had died over 5,300 years ago. Scientists named him Ötzi, the Iceman, and he gives us an incredible glimpse into this transformative period. When researchers examined Ötzi's possessions, they found something fascinating. He carried an axe with a blade made of almost pure copper, not bronze. This tells us something extraordinary. Ötzi lived right at the transition between the Copper Age and the Bronze Age. He was part of a world that was on the cusp of this technological revolution. The copper axe Ötzi carried was a status symbol, showing he was a person of importance. But within just a few generations after his death, such copper tools would be considered outdated technology. Bronze would sweep across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia with remarkable speed. Think about that. People who might have heard stories from their grandparents about Ötzi's time would already be using tools made of an entirely new material. This rapid spread of bronze technology reveals something fundamental about human nature. When a truly superior technology appears, it doesn't remain secret for long. Knowledge of bronze making traveled along trade routes, crossing mountains, deserts, and seas. Communities that mastered this new technology gained immediate advantages over their neighbors, creating a powerful incentive for the knowledge to spread. And here's another fascinating detail. The earliest bronze wasn't even made with tin. In some regions where tin was scarce, early metalworkers created an arsenic copper alloy that had many of the same properties as tin bronze. Imagine the trial and error, and yes, probably the danger involved in discovering that particular mixture. The metalworkers of antiquity were the scientists of their age, experimenting with combinations of earthly elements to create something new and powerful. The bronze itself wasn't just functional, it was beautiful. Freshly cast bronze has a golden luster that must have seemed almost magical to early societies. No wonder bronze objects quickly became symbols of power and prestige, adorning temples, palaces, and the graves of the elite. Picture yourself in an ancient village, around 3,000 years before Christ. The sound of hammers striking metal echoes through the air as craftsmen work tirelessly at their forges. This was the dawn of a new era, where bronze would transform not just how humans fought, but how they lived and thrived. Before bronze, warriors wielded weapons made of stone or pure copper, tools that would often break or bend in the heat of battle. But bronze changed everything. This revolutionary metal allowed societies to forge razor-sharp swords that could slice through armor, shields that could withstand powerful blows, and axes that remained sharp even after repeated use. Here's a fascinating detail. Archaeologists found a bronze sword in Turkey that still had its original edge after 4,000 years. This incredible durability wasn't just a luxury, it was a game changer on ancient battlefields. Warriors could now fight longer, harder, and with more precision than ever before. But the true magic of bronze wasn't limited to warfare. Imagine being a farmer in those times. Your wooden plow would constantly break, and stone tools would wear down quickly. Then comes bronze. Suddenly you have plows that cut deeper into the soil, sickles that harvest grain faster, and hoes that make tending crops easier than ever before. A remarkable discovery in ancient Egypt shows us just how important these agricultural tools were. In the tomb of a wealthy farmer from the 12th dynasty, around 2,000 years before Christ, archaeologists found a complete set of bronze farming tools. These tools were so precious that they were buried with their owner for the afterlife. The impact was enormous. With better farming tools, communities could produce more food. More food meant larger populations could be sustained. Larger populations led to the growth of the first great cities. In fact, some historians believe that the bronze plow alone might have doubled or even tripled crop yields in some regions. Think about this. A single bronze sickle could harvest enough grain to feed dozens of people. The same tool made of stone would have worn out after harvesting enough for just a handful. This efficiency revolution helped build the foundations of civilization as we know it. And here's something that might surprise you. Bronze tools were so valuable that they were often passed down through generations. Archaeologists have found bronze axes with multiple handle marks, showing they were used by several owners over many years. These weren't just tools, they were family heirlooms, representing wealth and status in ancient society. The Bronze Revolution wasn't just about making better tools and weapons. It was about expanding the possibilities of what humans could achieve. Every swing of a bronze axe, every cut of a bronze sickle, was another step toward building the complex civilizations that would shape our world. Imagine a world where a simple gray metal was worth its weight in gold. That metal was tin, and it was about to create the world's first global trade network. While copper was relatively common, tin was incredibly rare, found in just a handful of places across the ancient world. This scarcity would spark an economic revolution that connected civilizations from Britain to Mesopotamia. Think about this. To make bronze, you needed about 1 part tin for every 9 parts copper. But here's the catch. While ancient Sumer had plenty of copper, the nearest tin deposits were hundreds of miles away in modern-day Afghanistan and Turkey. This created a fascinating problem. How do you build a bronze-based civilization when half of your essential ingredients are missing? The answer? Trade. And not just any trade. We're talking about the ancient equivalent of today's oil trade routes. Merchant caravans would trek across vast deserts, brave mountain passes, and sail treacherous seas just to transport tin. These brave traders became the world's first international merchants, creating trade routes that would later become the famous Silk Road. Here's a remarkable discovery. Archaeologists found ancient Sumerian clay tablets from 4,000 years before Christ that detailed tin trading contracts. These might be the world's first business documents. They show how valuable tin was, sometimes worth up to 40 times its weight in grain. The Minoans, those magnificent sailors from ancient Crete, built their entire civilization around this trade. Their ships would sail as far as Britain, known in the ancient world as the Tin Islands, to acquire this precious metal. Imagine those early seafarers, navigating by stars, battling storms, all for the sake of tin. A fascinating story comes from an ancient shipwreck found off the coast of Turkey. The ship, dating back to 1400 years before Christ, carried 10 tons of copper and 1 ton of tin, exactly the right proportions to make bronze. This shows how sophisticated these ancient trading networks had become. But it wasn't just about the metal itself. These trade routes became highways of culture and innovation. Ideas, technologies, and even religions spread along these tin trading paths. The Phoenicians, master traders of the ancient world, didn't just sell tin. They exported their alphabet to every port they visited, laying the foundation for many modern writing systems. Here's something mind-blowing. Some of these ancient trade routes were so well established that they remained in use for thousands of years. The road you drive on today might follow the exact path where ancient merchants once carried their precious tin cargo. The search for tin created something unprecedented: the first international economy. Cities grew wealthy controlling these trade routes. Some archaeologists even suggest that the mysterious collapse of several Bronze Age civilizations around 1200 before Christ might have been triggered by disruptions in the tin trade. Think about it. Just like how oil shapes our modern world, tin shaped the ancient one. It created alliances, sparked conflicts, built empires, and connected people across vast distances. All this from a metal that most people today barely think about. It just shows how something seemingly simple can change the course of human history. This was truly the world's first economic revolution, a time when trade routes stretched farther than any empire, and when a humble metal helped build the foundations of global commerce as we know it today. Did you know that the tin trade was as valuable as oil today? If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind. Comment below, Which Bronze Age invention do you think was the most incredible? Bronze wasn't just a metal, it was a symbol of power, prestige, and divine authority in the ancient world. Imagine standing before the gates of an ancient temple, where massive bronze doors gleamed in the sunlight, telling everyone who passed by, "This is a place of importance." Let me tell you about an amazing discovery in China. Archaeologists found a bronze ritual vessel from the Shang dynasty, created around 1,200 years before Christ. This wasn't just any container. It was decorated with dragons and mysterious symbols, used in ceremonies to communicate with ancestral spirits. The craftsmanship was so incredible that modern artists still can't fully replicate its techniques. Kings and pharaohs understood the psychological power of bronze. In ancient Egypt, Ramesses II commissioned a bronze statue of himself so large that it took 100 men to move it. When the sun hit its polished surface, it would shine like a beacon across the desert, a literal reflection of divine power. Some of these ancient bronze statues still survive today, their surfaces turned green with age, but still telling stories of past glory. Here's something fascinating about ancient bronze working. The craftsmen discovered that adding just a tiny amount of lead to their bronze made it easier to cast into intricate shapes. This breakthrough led to an explosion of artistic creativity. Suddenly, rulers could immortalize themselves in stunningly detailed bronze sculptures, wearing every fold of their robes and every curl in their beards. But perhaps the most revolutionary impact of bronze came from a seemingly humble invention: the bronze nail. Before bronze, ships were held together with rope and wooden pegs. Bronze nails changed everything. They could hold ships together in rough seas, resist saltwater corrosion, and allow builders to create larger, stronger vessels. Think about this. Archaeologists found a 3,000-year-old shipwreck off the coast of Turkey. The wooden hull had long since rotted away, but the bronze nails remained, plotting out the exact shape of the ancient vessel like a connect-the-dots puzzle in the sand. These stronger ships transformed the ancient world. Merchants could now sail further, carry heavier cargoes, and brave stormier seas. The Phoenicians used bronze-reinforced ships to sail all the way around Africa, 2,000 years before Europeans would dare to try it again. These improved vessels didn't just carry goods. They carried ideas, technologies, and cultural practices across vast distances. Bronze also revolutionized music and ceremony. The first trumpets were made of bronze, their clear notes carrying across battlefields and through temple courtyards. In China, massive bronze bells were cast with such precision that they could play perfect musical notes. One ancient Chinese bell set, discovered in the tomb of a nobleman, could play 65 different notes, a technological feat that wouldn't be matched for thousands of years. Even in death, bronze showed its importance. Elite burials from Britain to China included bronze grave goods, weapons, vessels, and jewelry that would accompany the deceased into the afterlife. These weren't just grave goods. They were statements about the person's status and power, meant to last for eternity. The legacy of bronze continues to influence us today. Modern sculptors still use bronze for their finest works. The green patina of ancient bronze statues has become so iconic that we artificially create it on new pieces. And perhaps most importantly, the techniques developed for working bronze laid the foundation for all modern metallurgy. This was more than a technological revolution. It was a cultural transformation that changed how humans saw themselves and their place in the world. Bronze helped create the first complex societies, and its legacy still shines in museums, architecture, and art around the world today. As we come to the end of our journey through the Bronze Age, let's reflect on how this remarkable alloy shaped human destiny. Bronze wasn't just another invention. It was humanity's first step into a new world of technological possibilities. Think about this. Every time you see a modern skyscraper reaching toward the clouds, or watch a plane soaring overhead, you're witnessing the distant echoes of what began with bronze. Those ancient metallurgists, experimenting with copper and tin, were the great-grandparents of today's materials scientists and engineers. The story of bronze is really the story of human innovation. When ancient craftsmen discovered that mixing two metals could create something stronger than either metal alone, they unlocked a fundamental principle that would eventually lead to modern steel, aluminum alloys, and even the materials we use in spacecraft. Here's a fascinating detail. The last bronze artifacts of the Bronze Age were often made with techniques so sophisticated that they weren't rediscovered until the Renaissance, over 2,000 years later. Some Chinese bronze vessels from 1,000 years before Christ were created using a lost wax casting method so precise that it would challenge even modern foundries. But perhaps the most important legacy of bronze was how it changed human thinking. It showed our ancestors that they could take raw materials from the earth and transform them into something entirely new and better. This revolutionary idea, that humans could improve upon nature, would eventually lead to the Iron Age, the Industrial Revolution, and our modern technological world. The next time you pick up a metal tool, remember this. You're holding the end result of a journey that began thousands of years ago, when someone first mixed copper with tin and changed the world forever. From those first bronze daggers and plowshares to the steel beams that hold up our cities, it all started with this simple but revolutionary alloy. Bronze taught us that progress isn't just about discovering new things. It's about combining what we already have in new and innovative ways. This lesson continues to drive human innovation today, from developing new materials for space exploration to creating more efficient ways to harness renewable energy. As we close this chapter of human history, remember that the Bronze Age wasn't just about the metal itself. It was about human ingenuity, creativity, and the endless quest to build a better world. The dawn of bronze was truly the dawn of human technological civilization. And who knows? Perhaps someday, when archaeologists of the future dig up the remains of our civilization, they'll look back at the Bronze Age as the moment when humanity first showed its true potential, the moment when we proved that we could reshape our world and our destiny. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of humanity's most remarkable achievements. If you've enjoyed exploring this fascinating chapter of human history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to The Dawn of Humankind for more incredible stories from our past. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering the amazing story of human civilization.